Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 30 of Ultimate Exotics, the review series for the top tier supercars of Gran Turismo 6's current lineup. And in this particular episode we're featuring the hardcore variant of a supercar which we've already featured in the series, the Lamborghini Murcielago. We've already featured the LP640, and we're now featuring what is a loved car by many supercar fans, the LP670 SV, or Super Veloce, which is Italian for super fast, which is an appropriate name for pretty much any supercar, let alone a Lamborghini. And this basically takes the LP640 and makes it more aggressive, more crazy, more hardcore in most ways. Not every way, but most ways. Now, as standard, it does have more power, as is evidenced by the name, LP670 compared to LP640. But when fully tuned, they're actually the same. 928 horsepower is the maximum power that you can get out of the SV. Interestingly, making both the LP640 and the 670 less powerful than the tonne when fully tuned, which is interesting to note. As far as torque, the SV actually produces less than the LP640, 608 pound-feet compared to that car's 637, so surprisingly less torque. As far as weight though, it more than makes up for it. This car weighs in at 1252 kilos to the LP640's 1333, so this car is a lot lighter, the best part of 80 kilos lighter. As far as horsepower per tonne, well, obviously it's going to be better because it's running the same power in a vehicle that's lighter, so you're putting out 741 horsepower per tonne, which is a very good power to weight ratio, surpassing the power to weight ratio even of many racing cars. As far as PP, this car sits at 644, which is significantly higher than the LP640 and is also 1 pp higher than the tonne. Again, not surprising given how much lighter it is than both of those cars. As far as price, it sits at 300 or just under 395,000 credits, which is pretty well priced, I would say. That means that it is roughly a third of the price of the tonne, and not that much cheaper than the LP640. That's only around 10,000 credits cheap, or 10,000 credits more, I should say, than the LP640, which is pretty good. That's actually quite reasonable considering how much lighter, how much more aggressive, and how much more hardcore it is as an overall vehicle. Now, in terms of what it can actually do, in a straight line the cars pretty much break even, to be completely honest. The acceleration is very similar. This version is slightly quicker off the line because of its weight, but overall they pretty much break even. For top speed they're roughly the same. You're looking around the 270, 275 kind of region, which arguably isn't quite as quick as you'd probably expect an SV to be, and it does arguably deserve to be quicker than that. But that's just a problem with Lamborghinis, unfortunately, on Gran Turismo. Pretty much every Lamborghini except arguably the Diablo GT aren't really as quick as they deserve to be. Even the tonne, with significantly more power than both of the LPs, isn't as quick as it deserves to be, at around 286 miles per hour. In terms of handling though, which is the real purpose behind the SV, it is superior, I would say, to the LP640, not too surprisingly, but I would say it's superior in a very specific way. It's more focused, more sharp, more aggressive, more track focused, and again, that's not surprising for the SV model. It's similar in its purpose to the Superleggera version of the Gallardo, so more track focused, in effect more of a racing car for the road. So the fact that it is more focused around corners doesn't really surprise anyone. However, I actually prefer the handling, to be completely honest, of the LP640, because the LP640 has a smoothness to its steering. Both cars are notoriously tricky to set up correctly, but if you get it right, they do both handle surprisingly well. And of the two, I actually prefer the slightly duller and smoother handling of the LP640 to that of the SV. In terms of pure track potential, though, there is no question. The SV is the superior of the two. Now, personally, I've never been a huge fan of the SV. I know a lot of people really are. A lot of people absolutely love this car. And it's interesting to see how quite a few different supercar manufacturers have actually made more hardcore versions of their existing and beloved supercars. In the case of Lamborghini, they made the SV. Mercedes turned the SLR into the SLR 722. Lamborghini themselves later made the Aventador SV as well. And funnily enough, one of the only companies not to do that is one of the companies which you would think it would have been the most obvious to do it to. Porsche, with the Carrera GT. The Carrera GT never had a more hardcore or more powerful version. It's one of the only supercars that stayed in its original form, without becoming carbon fibre-ified with sharp aerodynamic appendages and a reworked visual style. But looking back, that's probably not really a bad thing given how hardcore and crazy the Carrera GT already was. If you are a fan of those, in effect, evolution versions of existing supercars, then the SV will probably appeal to you, and for the most part, will not disappoint you. Comparing it to other supercars, unfortunately it's not quite as quick as it deserves to be, but around the track, it can give many of them a great run for their money, especially for the price. But that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.